Welcome back, everybody. I'm Larry Kudlow. First up on the second half of the show, the Washington Post reports that President Obama's trip to Africa could cost between $60 and $100 million. The trip reportedly includes 14 limos, 3 bulletproof trucks, and 24-hour fighter jet coverage. But my big problem is, A, everybody should have belt tightening during the budget-cutting sequester period, and B, the president really is taking a vacation. This is not a working trip. Here now is former Obama Deputy White House Press Secretary Bill Burton. He's now Vice President and Managing Director of Global Strategy Group. And we welcome ace political reporter and CNBC contributor Robert Costa of the National Review. Bill Burton, are we being unfair here during the sequester period for a $100 million vacation?
Good evening, Larry. First of all, I don't think this is a $100 million vacation. I think those numbers are probably pretty inflated. But second, it's interesting that Rick Perry was the person that you had on before this segment, because when Rick Perry came into your studio, I assume that he was surrounded by Texas state troopers. He came on a Texas plane. This is a trip that's funded by the Texas state government. And that's fine, because what he's doing is trying to go and get jobs for his state. What the president is doing is a couple things. One, he's trying to make our case in emerging democracies that American investment is the right way to go. And two, he's showing our American leadership in the world. It's something that only the president can do. Only the First Lady can do what she's doing. It's something that all presidents have done before them. And the costs associated with it are standard, as the Bush advisor said in that Washington Post story you cite.
All right, Robert Costa, you heard Mr. Burton on that. What's your reaction?
Bill Burton brings up Texas, but there's a big difference between Texas and a continent, Africa. Just look at this Washington Post story. They're the ones who are citing $100 million for this trip. Fighter jets, an aircraft carrier, massive entourages in the hotel and on the ground as he goes to Tanzania, Senegal, and South Africa. This is a major undertaking, and the White House doesn't even disguise it as a vacation. They call it a working vacation. The question is for the White House, as they create so much politics and drama about the sequester, and they're canceling White House tours, suddenly they want to go spend $100 million on a vacation. It just doesn't seem to, there seems to be a big disconnect right there.
Somebody said 1,350 weeks of White House tours if he doesn't go on this trip. I want to move on. I got a couple other points. We're running a little short of time. Shift gears. 2 massive rallies today on Capitol Hill. The Tea Party made a comeback on the Hill, blasting recent IRS scandal in a rally they called an audit of the IRS. And many others showed up for an anti-immigration rally where Representative Steve King launched a 6-hour event in opposition to the immigration reform legislation. All right, Bill Burton, let me start with the IRS event. What is your take on this? This really could mobilize the Tea Party the way they were mobilized in 2010.
Well, I don't know that it's that animating for the Tea Party. It's certainly something that has the far right all riled up. But I think that if you watch how this story has unfolded, unfortunately, Chairman Issa has embarrassed himself. And he's done something worse than just make a fool of himself, because what he's done is he's made accusations on national television that he has known to be not true based on information that he was keeping secret. And thank goodness Congressman Cummings released that information in the form of transcripts that showed that.
What are you saying here? Let's be specific. Are you saying to me that this was not a top-down operation in the IRS? Are you really saying that?
Well, what Chairman Issa went on TV and said was that this was something that he had proof went all the way up to the White House. But at the very moment that he said that, he had in his hands, he had the sworn testimony of folks who said, in fact, no, that was not the case. And so what I'm saying is that Chairman Issa has undergone an investigation that he himself has known is dried up.
Look, the White House, Democrats like to say that the Tea Party's dead, but I was on Capitol Hill today, Larry, and it seems the Tea Party is very much alive, and they're waving signs. The first one I saw was internal rotten scoundrels. They're animated by this IRS scandal. They think this is going to help the Republicans in 2014 win back some seats perhaps in the House, and they still are railing against the White House for maybe blessing this along the way.
I don't think the Tea Party's dead, for what it's worth. I think they are alive and thriving inside the House of Representatives, and that's why there's so much gridlock in Washington.
I want to hit the last one, because I wrote a column several months ago about this. Immigration reform is pro-growth, Robert Costa. More people joining the labor force, whether it's the lower skilled or whether it's the brainiacs, according to the Congressional Budget office will increase growth by 3% and lower the budget deficits by hundreds of billions of dollars, okay? The Senate immigration bill will save hundreds of billions of dollars and grow the economy, Robert Costa. Why are all those Republicans there against the immigration reform?
Because Republicans, I think Bill Burton probably agrees, within the House Republican Conference are not looking at this as a growth argument. They still term it amnesty. And I think John Boehner has a real headache on his hands in the House because the House Republicans are just not simply eager to buy that argument about growth.
But we should buy the argument of growth. I say we, meaning the whole country should buy growth. Bill Burton, I'm probably closer to you on this one.
I think that's right. But at the end of the day, my prediction is that the House will pass something that will pass largely along partisan lines. The Senate will pass something. It'll get to conference. Both bodies will pass it. The president will sign into law. I think what Boehner is doing is just trying to play his Tea Party politics to make sure that he doesn't get ousted before this debate is over.
All right. I'll tell you, I think it's pro-growth. I think it gives people opportunity. I think it puts America back as a city on a hill, but I know there's some disagreements.
Well, immigration is part of the reason the economy is so strong in Texas.
That is correct, by the way, and that's a good test case. I like that. Well said. Anyway, thank you very much, Bill Burton. I appreciate it. Robert Costa, I appreciate it. Up next on Kudlow, the brilliant Neil Ferguson.